epigraph of one of the poems, I realized I completely misspelled a poet's first name. God, I'm really a professional. I'm like questioning my entire existence, essentially, for this collection.
Hello friends, so we are in a new location. We are not in front of my leaning bookshelf at home. This is actually my office. This is my new office at work, and it's after 5, and I thought I might just hang out here for a while, maybe an hour or so after work, and get some edits done on my poetry collection. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Emily. I'm a poet, and I also write novels in verse for young adult readers. And I thought it would be fun to take you guys along for the ride of doing Galley edits for my debut forthcoming poetry collection. If y'all are new and you haven't heard me talk about it before, in probably late spring, early summer, I don't want to give a date and then be tied down to it in case things change.
Can you hear the mat squeaking underneath me?
Publishing timelines may change, but as of now, my debut poetry collection entitled Jalubí is slated for publication late spring, early summer of 2022, which is a year from now, but we are working on Galley edits at this point. So we've already gone through and done line edits, and I would have taken y'all along for the ride, but I didn't have a channel then. What I'm checking for now is really just any typos, any formatting issues, to kind of go through and to give y'all my thoughts about the collection. It explores the time I spent in Prague trying to find my great-great-grandparents' farm.
Which I don't think I succeeded at. I mean, like, I didn't actually find their farm.
But I found their small farming village, Jalubí. It's also about translation theory and language and my maternal lineage. So if that sounds interesting, feel free to hang out as I go through and make edits and notes, because I'll probably be sharing some feedback with y'all throughout. If I was to do this aesthetically, I would be in a coffee shop and I would be looking so cute, but like, the writing life isn't always cute and aesthetic. For me, I feel like it very rarely is, even though I know it's supposed to be in a vlog. But for my job, I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing tomorrow, and my boyfriend and I will also be out of town this week. We're gonna go hiking.
Which, why in God's green earth we decided to go hiking during the freaking heat wave that's enclosed upon all the Pacific Northwest, I don't know. Hopefully next week will be better.
But this is to say that the reality is that I'm not going to be here this weekend, and I probably won't work on it, and I know I'm going to be zapped from work tomorrow, and it's going to take up the psychic space. The psychic energy that I do have to edit is probably going to be gone. So, you know, a lot of times this is what the writing life is. It's staying after work and carving out space to do an hour or so's worth of edits. But let me know down below. I would, especially as we get closer and closer to the launch of this book, which again, we still have about 11 months at this point, probably. But let me know what you're interested in. If you would like me to talk about my submission process and how I got the book deal for this poetry collection, or how I formatted and structured the poetry collection, let me know down below. So this is embarrassing, but this is exactly why we do this. I have a lot of poems that are written as response poems in this collection, and
in the epigraph of one of the poems, I realized I completely misspelled a poet's first name. God, I'm really a professional.
So something else that I'm being really nitpicky about is also line breaks, and not just the line integrity of the language, but how the line breaks look on the page. I don't know if you can see this, and this poem has already been published, so I'm not sharing anything that's already been, I'm not sharing like something that's not published yet, but the 2 here seems to go out past the alignment right here. And because form is so important in this piece, like I can't tell if I'm being too nitpicky, you know, but I want the reading experience to be as clean and crisp as possible. Might as well just make note of it, right? Also, the way that I got this form, and I'll tell you guys a secret, the way that I got this form is I was reading, I think at the time we had been assigned the collected works of Neruda, and the paper was so thin because the collection it was so big. And you could see the poems, they were all on the left margin, but when you put them together, or like when you would hold 2 pages up to the light, it created this type of like square-like form with a hard right justification, a hard left justification on the margins. But there was so much white space from where the lines mirrored each other but didn't touch. I don't know if that makes sense, but I would trace those poems out and create for myself a form, and then I would have to write inside the lines of the form. So, pro tip, let me know if you use that, one, if that even made sense, but if you use that as a writing prompt to kind of build out a form, let me know how it works for you. So now I'm realizing I'm like double checking the spelling of everything. And also because there's so much family history and it's about language, I'm thinking about, okay, are things spelled correctly? Are accent marks placed correctly? Are years correct?
I'm like questioning my entire existence, essentially, for this collection.
But my great-great-grandmother, there's a poem about my great-great-grandmother, and she was married in St. Ludmilla's Catholic Church. But then I'm like, okay, are there 2 L's or 1? And apparently in Chicago, the church spells it with 2 L's, but in Cedar Rapids, they only spell it with 1 L. I'm like, I guess it doesn't make that big of a difference in the reading experience, but you know, I just want things to be accurate.
You think I would have done this in like the 10 years I was writing this book, that I would have like, that fact checking would no longer be an issue.
I'm even getting annoyed with myself how tedious I'm being, but like even just reading this, I saw a line where there were 2 N dashes instead of an M dash, and it's just like trying to balance in your brain reading through the language and thinking about it in terms of the fluidity of the reading experience, but also being hyper focused on all the small details and being really nitpicky. It's not for the faint of heart, y'all, this editing. All right, friends, so I've been working for almost an hour. Eli's gonna come pick me up and then we're gonna do something for dinner. I made it about 40 pages, a little more than 40 pages through. I didn't catch anything too outrageous, so that's good, besides the misspellings. But there are 104 pages in the manuscript, which seems like a lot. It's a pretty hefty collection. But the more I read through it, the more I am really excited. I know it's gonna be a year, this is such a tease, but the more I'm really excited to be able to share it with everybody, because I feel like of all of the work that I've done so far, they have 2 chapbooks published, when I'll leave the information linked down below. But I feel like this was really the culmination of my writing style, and the themes just feel realized in it. I don't know.
People are gonna read it and be like, Ellen, what are you talking about? Don't try to hype yourself up.
It does feel like a really rich, nuanced collection, and I'm really excited to be able to share it with you guys. So I'm not sure when the next time I will pick this back up is. I'm giving myself permission not to feel like I have to finish it anytime soon, but I will check back in as we work our way into the second half. Friends, so it's about a week since the last clip and we survived the heat wave, thank goodness. We also did go on our hiking trip and that was really lovely. We went hiking, I think a total of about 10 miles over 2 days, and we also stopped in Seattle and we hit up the Jalubí, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, the glass museum, and of course we found a good crystal shop and a good bookshop. So like,
are there going to be more book hauls in the future? Probably.
I will leave any videos or pictures, if editing Emily remembers to do that. I'll leave those here now just so you guys can kind of check it out. But last time I was filming, I was in my office and I said, oh, wouldn't it be really nice to be able to finish editing the Galley for my debut poetry collection in a coffee shop? So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna head over, get an iced decaf coffee, take you guys along for the ride. I probably won't be talking as much as I make notes as I did in the previous clips, just because
No, I'm not that brave yet to be like vlogging in public.
But we're gonna go now. The weather's so nice. I've got about 60 pages left, so we'll see. I'm like tempted between powering through it and just going all the way, but also trying to be very methodical and intentional with the editing. So we'll see how it goes. We are done. It took about an hour, 2 hours, but I was also spending time renewing my library books and sending some emails out. But we're finished and I'm very excited to have submitted all of my edits for the Galley. The things I caught were very similar to the things I was catching last Monday. So let's say that a stanza was formatted as a quatrain and it was really supposed to be 2 couplets. Something super nitpicky. And this is why you always have to have such a sharp eye when you're doing editorial work. Something super nitpicky was that the little,
I always forget like epigraphs and I can never keep those straight. I'm talking about how,
precise you have to be, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. But anytime that I tagged a poem with a location, because the book takes place in various states in the US and then also mostly in the Czech Republic, but there's also some poems from Poland. If I tagged those poems with a location in a year, they were always at the left margin, but one little sneaky poem was all the way, it was tagged at the right. So then I had to make a note that we needed to fix that. So lots of really little things.
I asked for one line break to be changed even though we're like past that point in the process. Oops. I hope I'm not annoying. I hope I'm pleasant to work with. I hope so.
But just one little line break change that really made the integrity better. But I hope this was an enjoyable editing vlog to watch. I'm sorry if I'm like leading the hype way too soon. Like I said, this book probably isn't coming out. I think it's not slated until May 2022, and even that might change. But let me know if you made it this far. And I thought it would be fun to, if I can turn my brightness up, I thought it would be fun to close out this editing vlog reading one of the poems.
Can you hear the neighbor's chickens? Sorry.
I thought it'd be fun to close out this vlog with reading one of the poems in the book, and I just did a random number generator because I think I'm going to have quite a few follow-up videos the closer we get to the release date, so I'll probably do an entire video, and let me know which ones y'all are interested in. It might take a while to get them out because I want them to be closer to the publication date, but I would really like to talk about, one, just how I got the book deal as a poet. You know, a lot of people on AuthorTube are in the YA field, and that process is different than poetry most of the times with collections. It's a contest model. So I'd like to make a video about that, and also just a video about how I structured the collection, talking about opening poems and closing poems and section breaks throughout and themes. And then I would really like to also make a video just kind of like a what about my collection, and maybe like a little mini reading, and maybe like a mini reading when we get really close to the release date. So I have some poems in mind that I want to share then, but for now I'm going to share the one that was randomly generated. This poem is entitled Introductions, and it's about meeting Peter and Stania, and they were my homestay parents for when I studied abroad in Prague. Peter and Stania have agreed to be my parents for the 4 months I'll study in Prague. As I unpack in their flat, Stania promises to take me to her garden, Peter to the pond where he taught his children how to skate. Both Eliška and Vitek, 13 and 8, speak English with ease. I can't remember how to say thank you in Czech, so I mumble prosím profusely, a polite word I'm afraid will split at the seams each time I speak. I think about how much of our personality is woven into the words we say, how gracious can quickly be mistaken for uncomfortable if the sounds are scattered too far. I think language barrier, though nothing blocks our bodies but empty space. Stania leads me to a bedroom with freshly plumped pillows and sweet-smelling sheets. I think mother tongue, yet nothing is maternal about stalled speech. Speech is more of a child. We raise it through mistakes, swaddle the sounds in our mouths, rock them in unsteady rhythm. So that poem, the fixation on language and what language can encapsulate and what it can't encapsulate, and the musicality of your own language, but then also learning another language, and translation theory, and the beauty and the magic, but also being afraid to make mistakes. Those themes are really, really heavily rooted in this collection. Also with family too, the idea of trying to trace your own lineage while staying with a host family. If those themes seem interesting to you, I will go ahead and leave some of the poems in the collection that have already been published in various journals in case you want to check some more out. So feel free, if you haven't yet subscribed, if you want to go ahead and subscribe so that way you can keep track of the publication journey for this collection. I'd love to have you along for the ride. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you next time.